Hello, welcome back to another episode of My Athletic Compendium. Another solo episode this week. James did one last week. The idea behind it is we can't always be together. We're both busy people like everyone else, so we wanted to keep the momentum going and just try and get as consistent as we can with getting out content. That's one of our goals for this year. We're looking at growing it a little bit this year, just to get more content out to you guys, really. So if you could do us a big favour and like it, share it, tell your friends about it, just to get us out there a little bit more, because we really do enjoy doing it. So we want to just keep the ball rolling with it, really. This episode, I wanted to talk. We touched on it before, but I wanted to talk a little bit about recovery, particularly at this point. A lot of people who are playing rugby, football at this point in the season, you are starting to get a bit of wear and tear, a little bit of damage. Bodies are starting to become a little bit more fatigued, whether you know or aware of that or not. Even just feeling a little bit lethargic in terms of momentum and motivation going into the back end of the season, because it is a long old season, especially my personal experience being through rugby. It does batter you and bruise you a little bit, so it is important to focus on that kind of recovery element. Things to kind of look out for as well, because me personally, I have been that person that kind of neglects their body a little bit, train really hard, really obsessed over performance and making sure I'm fast and strong and XYZ throughout the season. But weirdly, recovery wasn't really something that kind of crossed my radar, because I was so focused on actually getting better and getting the training done to improve your performance. But you kind of neglect recovery. You don't see it as being such an important thing until perhaps it's too late. And it's one of those things as well that when you start doing it consistently, it's a bit of a world changer, to be honest, because you don't realise how much it affects your body. Doing the little things to help you recover. Obviously, James has touched on the kind of nutrition side of things, of how important that is in terms of recovery, making sure you're replenishing carbohydrate stores, making sure you're having loads of protein to help your body recover from the nutrition side of things. But the little things that you can do in your training program or even at home, they do require effort. There's no denying that. You do have to consciously do it. But when you do kind of get consistent with it, get a bit of a routine, do it, make sure you're doing those little things every day, the benefits that you get are ridiculous. They're unreal. Some really simple things that you can do, obviously, like having a morning stretch routine, which doesn't have to last long, 5 minutes, whatever, just to hit all the key areas. Because especially if you're training Tuesday, Thursday, playing Saturday, you're working full time. Like, we're not full-time athletes, most of us, so we've got to make sure that we are aware that when you sat down at a desk all day or sat in a car commuting a lot, you aren't moving. You're being stuck in this one position. You're working your muscles really, really hard, and then you're fixing them in a position all day, every day. You've got to make sure that you do get a bit of movement in there. So having a morning stretch routine just allows you to get that bit of movement in there in the morning, to kind of help your muscles get to the end of range under decent tension, but under no resistance. That's really, really important. Just GCSE PE stuff, really, to be honest. Other things that you can do, a big thing that I really rate is self-myofascial release or foam rolling, massage guns, that kind of thing, because although there is a bit of a technique to it, you do have to kind of learn how to do it, because just rolling up and down on a foam roller isn't going to do anything, really, to be honest. But if you are focusing on those tighter areas, making sure that you are doing it consistently and frequently, there's no point in jumping on a foam roller and beating yourself up for 15 minutes or so, but only doing it once a month. You need to be doing it 3 times a week, 4 times a week, or just having it as part of your training routine to do 5 minutes of foam rolling before your sessions. Is a really, really important thing, that having that frequency and consistency several times throughout the week. Massage gun's a really good one. I've actually conveniently got one on hand right here. You can get different attachments for it, but essentially it's causing a vibration in your muscle. It is massaging it, So if you've got tighter areas, it is kind of trying to massage that tight area out. But also the vibration is promoting blood flow to that area as well. Because what you'll get is in a tight muscle, because it's all contracted, you're not going to get much blood flow through that muscle. So you can get blood sort of trapped. It's like a sort of funnel system. Your blood will get trapped, and then the red blood cells will then die. And you want to get a bit of circulation through that to get those dead red blood cells back to your lungs, back to your heart, to get them back into circulation, to then have proper use of that muscle, but also to have a better circulation through your system. So this kind of helps promote blood flow, but also having that massage element to it. Particularly good for like if you play rugby sevens, like between games, or doing it at half time as well. Again, just to promote that blood flow through the area. But you don't want to be going really, really at it, because you don't want to damage your muscles during the day, but you want to promote that blood flow, so that vibration will help. But yeah, they're a really useful tool, and to be honest, really lazy. You can just kind of do it while you sat down. So they are very, very useful. If you're sat down watching TV, you can just have at it there. But they cost not that much. Like you can get a Theragun, which is hundreds and hundreds, but you can get like this one. I can't remember exactly how much. I think it was like 70 quid, but you can get them for 30. But just be mindful that it might not last ages. But that one's decent. Fireliner, I don't even know what brand it is, to be honest. It's probably a dodgy brand, but seems to work for me. Just anything that can hold battery and do the job, really. You can get mini ones, like tiny little ones, which are good for like the smaller intricate muscles around your shoulders and traps and stuff. But that's fine, that does the job. Other recovery techniques, obviously, like we've spoken about, you've got your stretching, you've got your foam rolling, you've got your massage gun, hot cold therapy. Something as simple as having a morning routine. James is really good for this. He'll have a morning routine of having a cold shower, just for a minute or so. It doesn't have to be long, and then turning it to hot, finishing off in a hot shower. It's a good way to wake up, but it also does promote blood flow. So what happens is when you have a cold shower, so when you go through that cold therapy, you get vasoconstriction. So think constrict, that's your blood vessels constricting to kind of prevent blood flow to your peripherals, and it shunts more towards the centre of your body. But then when you get into the warm shower, they'll dilate, so your blood flow will dilate, so it'll go to your peripherals, into your arms, into your legs, through all your sort of peripheral muscles, and that blood flow, again, it's treating it like a flush out system almost. But also taking your muscles from a contracted state. When you're cold, you're then naturally going to contract. That's what helps the vessels constrict to them being relaxed. It's good to just get that little bit of sort of activation and movement through your muscles as well. Is really, really important. So yeah, that's a good morning routine. Me personally, I hate it, but I do know the benefits of it. I used to do it when I was a bit more full-time with my rugby. Now I'm not anymore. I don't really personally feel the need for it, but it is a very, very useful technique to use if you can kind of get into the routine. You do see people doing cold water therapy, which is where you do your sort of breathing techniques before, during and after you've dipped into the water for a few minutes. I don't know massively loads about the whole breathing techniques or anything, but the cold water therapy is something that's really beneficial for you. So again, if you wanted to try that out, you can try that out, but maybe it's a good idea in the morning to kind of wake you up, but and maybe less so in the evening, I don't know, but that is a good technique there. And again, something that you do genuinely feel the benefits after a few weeks of doing it, and you don't realise, but so yeah, hot cold therapy. Things like Pilates and yoga and things like that, like we mentioned, it's kind of on the same spectrum as just stretching in the mornings, but perhaps under a little bit more body weight resistance. which is good for core strength and joint stability, but you're also taking your muscles through that end range. So again, something that can be quite beneficial in Pilates. So yeah, just trying to hit, one or two of these areas every day or every other day is going to be massively beneficial. I can't stress to you enough, like, having the routine is the key thing here. Because like I mentioned before, it's all good and well doing it once, but and you will get a bit of benefit from it, but it's going to only be short term. If you want long-term benefits, then consistency is key. One thing I probably should have mentioned at the start of the episode would probably have been what it is about recovery that makes you perform better. If you're whether it's mentally you're feeling lethargic and your body feels a bit knackered, so mentally that's going to affect you in terms of what you think you're capable of. Like, that's one side of things. There's a more psychological side of things, but the actual physical benefits. Imagine you're training throughout a 4-week block, 6-week block, 8-week block, or if you're at this point during the season where you've been playing or training week in, week out, playing pretty much every week, your body's building up this strain's building and building and building, and you will be getting stronger. You potentially could be getting faster, but you'll eventually hit a plateau because your training volume's really high and not actually able to let your body recover from all of that training, and that's when you're actually going to get the benefits of the performance. If you think of an endurance athlete or an event athlete, I call them, so say you're a fighter, you go through a training block, an 8-week training block or so, and you're building the intensity the whole time. But then the week before their event, their fight, their race, whatever, they'll have a deload week, which is basically where they focus more so on recovery, drop the volumes right down so that they can recover, so they're at their peak on their fight time or their race time or whatever that event might be. And that recovery deload week is so vital, because it allows you to recover from all of that training to actually get the benefit of the gains that they've been making. Whereas the interesting thing about football, rugby, team sports, where you're playing week in, week out, you don't have that. Your whole season is training, and yeah, you might have a bit of a day off before, but a week beats a day of rest if you've been training at that kind of intensity and that kind of volume. So that's the interesting difference between your team sports and your event sports. So it is good, and that's why the Christmas period is good, especially that we've just come out of, because you do have a couple of weeks to recover. It's probably not great in terms of alcohol and eating and whatever, but it does give you that little bit of rest. So, if you hadn't have had all the food, all the alcohol, you probably would be feeling really good going back into your games after the new year. So again, something that's really vital. I think there are more recovery techniques there. Like, don't get me wrong, there are loads and loads of things that you can do. Again, James will touch more on the nutrition side of things, because that is probably arguably 50% of or more of the recovery benefits that you're going to get is through your nutrition. So I'll let him speak about that one. But I think I'll wrap it up there for this one. Keep it quite short and sharp, like James is, just to make it a bit more bite-sized while we're on our own. But hopefully that gets you some kind of idea. I think the key point, mainly just being consistent and frequent about it. Minimum 3 times a week to actually focus on your recovery, even if it's 15 to half an hour, to just focus on your recovery methods. But like I said, even better option is just doing little and often.